All of father's assets long to Olivia. The room seemed to shrink around me. The air was thick and heavy, so much so that I could feel each slow, deliberate beat of my heart in my chest. Across the table, Olivia leaned back in her chair, her lips curling into a perfect, victorious smile. I clenched my hands tightly, struggling to keep my expression composed as Mr. Howard, our longtime family attorney, continued reading the will in his emotionless tone. The estate at 1789 Maplewood Drive, the lakeside vacation home in Vermont, and all shares of Hartman & Co. all belong to Olivia Hartman. I turned to look at my sister. Olivia, 34, had always been the golden child in our father's eyes, brilliant, charming, married to the right man and mother to the exact kind of children he had always wanted. And me? I was the failure. Since childhood I had never fit into the mold my father had set. I hadn't pursued business or finance, instead I had spent my youth chasing art, something he had always deemed useless. I had rejected an arranged marriage with a man of his choosing, walked away from the family to follow my passion, and worst of all, I had dared to get divorced, shattering the pristine image my father had expected me to uphold. And now, as I sat in this room, hearing my name erased from everything my father left behind, I knew I had never truly belonged here. Additionally, a small trust has been established for Emma Hartman, which includes family photographs and a few heirloom pieces from her grandmother's collection. Mr. Howard's voice remained steady, as if he were reading an inheritance for a distant stranger. Just a few photographs. I took a slow, deep breath. Olivia let out a quiet chuckle. At least you'll have some family pictures to hang in your little apartment, she said, her voice dripping with artificial sympathy. I slowly rose to my feet, smoothing out my dress. So that's it then. Mr. Howard nodded, possibly relieved that I hadn't caused a scene. I could see the anticipation on Olivia's face. She wanted me to scream, to break down, to beg for even a scrap. But I would never give her that satisfaction. As I stepped out of the lawyer's office, Olivia called after me. Let's meet tonight, Emma. We should talk about your future. Maybe I can find you a position at Hartman & Co., something suitable for your abilities. I turned back and smiled. That's so generous of you, Olivia, but I don't need it. She blinked, momentarily taken aback by my calmness. I didn't look back as I walked out of the building. The crisp autumn air brushed against my face, golden leaves drifting down onto the sidewalk. Mother had loved autumn. If she were alive, she would have hated what had just happened in that room. My phone vibrated, a message from Olivia. Emma, I really want to meet tonight. We need to talk. I turned off my screen, ignoring the message just as I had ignored every insincere offer from her over the years. I drove back to my small apartment, not luxurious, not grand, but bought with my own money, without a single dollar from my father. Stepping into my office, I pulled open a drawer and took out a thick brown envelope. 2 years ago my mother had given it to me. She had been weaker than ever then. Don't open this until after your father is gone, she had said, her cold hand gripping mine. Promise me, Emma. And I had promised. Now, as I tore open the envelope, I suddenly understood why she had made that request. Inside was a letter, along with a stack of financial documents, stock certificates, investment papers. My mother's handwriting, elegant and familiar from my childhood, filled the letter. My dearest daughter, if you are reading this, then your father is gone, and he has surely done exactly what I feared. He never understood you, but I did. He built his empire his way, but I had my own way too. I swallowed hard, flipping to the next page. I have been quietly investing for the past 25 years. No one knew, not even your father. All of this has already been transferred to your name little by little in a way he could never stop. And do you know what, Emma? It's worth far more than what he left Olivia. I blinked, looking down at the stack of documents in my hands. Shares in green technology companies, investments in renewable energy, grants for environmental protection. This wasn't just money. This was a legacy. I picked up my phone, a new message from Olivia. We need to talk. This time, I replied. All right, Olivia, come by my place tomorrow morning. You should see something. I set my phone down, my gaze sweeping over the documents once more. Mother had known all along. And tomorrow, Olivia would know the truth too. At exactly 10 o'clock the next morning, the doorbell rang. I stood up, walked over and opened the door. Olivia stood there, as perfect as always. Designer dress, expensive leather handbag, golden hair styled with precision. But this time I noticed something different in her eyes. A flicker of unease. "Come in," I stepped aside to let her enter. Olivia glanced around my apartment. Not the lavish penthouse she lived in, but nowhere near as shabby as she liked to imply. She set her bag on the table and took a seat across from me, legs crossed with practiced confidence. "Emma," Olivia started, her tone resembling that of someone pacifying a stubborn child. "We both know father had certain expectations. He wanted me to run Hartman & Co. and I fulfilled that. But you've always done things your own way." I folded my arms, leaning back. "So, you think I need a suitable position at Hartman & Co.?" Olivia smiled. "You know, father left everything to me, but I can still help you. You don't have to struggle on your own in this little apartment." I was silent for a moment before sliding the stack of documents toward her. "Before you offer to help me, you might want to take a look at this." Olivia frowned but reached for the papers anyway. I watched as she flipped to the first page, a financial statement ending with a number so large it seemed almost surreal. Seconds passed. I saw the shift in her expression, confidence melting into shock, then into something close to horror. I rested my chin on my hand, waiting. What is this?" Her voice wavered. "This," I said slowly, "is Mother's real legacy. For the past 25 years she's been investing in green technology, renewable energy, and environmental protection projects. Its current value far surpasses Hartman & Co., and it's all in my name." Olivia let out a short laugh, but there was no confidence in it. "That's impossible. Mother never told you," I interrupted. "Because she knew you, just like she knew father. You were both too busy with business deals, profit margins, and never really cared about what she was doing. But Mother wasn't like you. She believed in the future, in change, and she spent her life quietly building it." Olivia's grip on the documents tightened, her fingers trembling slightly. So what?" she asked in a hushed tone. "What do you plan to do with all of this?" I smiled. "I'm going to continue what Mother started. Invest in the environment, expand research, build technology that will change the world. She left everything to me, Olivia. There's no place for you in this." This time I watched as Olivia's smile vanished completely. Her hands balled into fists, her face turning pale. "You can't do this, Emma. Hartman & Co. is the family business. You can't just walk away to chase some vague environmental dreams." I tilted my head. "Why not? It's what Mother wanted." She stared at me, then back down at the papers on the table. I saw her world, everything she had built her identity around, crumbling, right in front of her. But, as always, Olivia recovered quickly. She set the documents down, leaned back and narrowed her eyes, calculating. "Listen," she said, her voice smoother now. "Maybe we can work together. If you invest in Hartman & Co., we could integrate Mother's projects into the company. We could combine both legacies, Father's and Mother's." I let out a soft chuckle. "Do you think I'm stupid, Olivia? This isn't about combining legacies. You just want to keep control." Her face tensed for a split second before shifting into something more contemplative. Olivia's eyes flickered, calculating her next move. She leaned in slightly, lowering her voice as if we were co-conspirators rather than adversaries. "I want stability," she said smoothly. "For the company. For both of us." I tilted my head, unimpressed. "And what does that mean, exactly?" She exhaled, as if exasperated that I didn't immediately fall in line. "It means we need to control the narrative. Right now people are panicking, investors are scared, the board is questioning my leadership. If this continues, we could lose everything." I tapped my fingers against the table, pretending to consider her words. "So, let me get this straight. You spread rumors about me, frame me as a financial threat, stir up panic in the market, and now you want me to help you fix the mess you created?" Her lips pressed into a thin line. "I was protecting the company. You wouldn't understand." "Because I'm not a businesswoman like you?" I asked, raising an eyebrow. "You're wrong, Olivia. I understand more than you think. She took a sip of her wine, then set the glass down carefully. I'll make this simple. Join me at Hartman & Co. publicly. We'll announce that you're bringing Mother's investments under the company umbrella. It will reassure the board and the investors, and you'll get a position suited to your strengths. I let out a quiet laugh. So you want my assets, my influence, but under your control? Not control, she corrected quickly. Collaboration. I stared at her, letting the silence stretch. Olivia had always been good at playing the role of the composed executive. But I saw the tension in her jaw, the way she was gripping her napkin, just a little too tightly. You're afraid, I said finally. Not just of me, of losing power. Her eyes flashed. I built this company into what it is today. I made the sacrifices. I did what Father expected. And now you're realizing that what he left you isn't enough, I finished for her. That mother, the woman you always dismissed as irrelevant, built something far more powerful. Olivia's face darkened. Emma, she said, her voice sharp with warning. This isn't just about us. If Hartman & Co. collapses, it won't just be my problem, it'll be yours too. Whether you like it or not, we are tied together by name, by blood, by legacy. I leaned forward holding her gaze. Then maybe it's time I redefine what that legacy means. She inhaled sharply, and for the first time in a long time, I saw it. The fear of losing control. I picked up my napkin, placed it neatly on the table and stood. Enjoy your dinner, Olivia, I said, turning to leave. She didn't stop me. But I knew this wasn't over. Not by a long shot. Olivia stared at me, her breathing uneven. I could see the war waging inside her, the desperate need to regain control, the reluctance to admit the truth, and the growing realization that she was losing this battle. She shook her head. You're willing to let everything Father built collapse? I met her gaze, unwavering. Father built something flawed, Olivia. Something that was bound to fall apart because it refused to evolve. Mother saw it coming. That's why she created something better. She let out a bitter laugh, running a hand through her hair. And you think you're better than me because you're standing on some moral high ground? That you're the visionary and I'm just some relic of the past? I exhaled slowly. I think that for the first time, you're realizing that control isn't the same as power. You controlled Hartman & Co. for years, but you never actually built anything lasting. Mother did. And you hated that she did it without you. Her jaw clenched. I had struck a nerve. You really won't help me, she murmured more to herself than to me. I leaned back, folding my hands together. I am helping you, Olivia. I'm giving you the truth. You can fight to keep a sinking ship afloat, or you can change course. That's your choice. Silence stretched between us. Olivia, always poised, always composed, was unraveling right in front of me. She inhaled sharply, squared her shoulders and stood up. This isn't over. I nodded. No, it isn't. She turned on her heel, storming toward the door, but just before leaving, she hesitated. Without looking back, she said, You're making a mistake, Emma. I smiled faintly. Maybe, but at least it's my mistake. She walked out, slamming the door behind her. I stayed still for a long moment, letting the weight of it all settle in. I knew Olivia wouldn't go down without a fight. She would try to twist the narrative, manipulate the board, use every last ounce of influence she had. But I also knew something else. I was ready. For the first time in my life, I was truly in control. And this was only the beginning. I studied Olivia carefully. For the first time in our lives, she wasn't speaking from a place of power. There was no calculated arrogance, no air of superiority, just a woman who had lost everything. I sat down across from her, keeping my voice neutral. And now you're here, why? She looked down at the coffee cup in her hands, turning it slightly as if searching for the right words. I don't know, she admitted. I guess I didn't know where else to go. That admission, more than anything else, made me pause. Olivia had always had a plan, always had an advantage. Seeing her like this felt surreal. I leaned back. So, what do you want from me, Olivia? Another deal? Another negotiation? She shook her head. No, I wanted to understand. Understand what? Why you walked away. she said, looking up at me. You had a chance to take everything. You could have had the company, the power, the influence. And you just let it go. I sighed. Because it was never mine to take. It belonged to Father, it belonged to you. I didn't want to keep trying to fix something that wasn't meant for me. She nodded slowly. And you really think Mother's way was better? I don't think, Olivia, I know, I said firmly. She built something for the future. Something sustainable. Something that actually makes a difference. And that's what I want to be part of, not endless board meetings and profit margins, not chasing deals that mean nothing. Olivier exhaled, rubbing her forehead. I don't know how to do anything else, Emma. I spent my entire life trying to be what Father wanted, and now that it's gone, I don't know who I am without it. For the first time, I saw the truth beneath all of it. The pressure, the expectations, the years of trying to be the perfect heir. Olivia had never been free. I set my coffee down. Then maybe it's time you figure that out. She let out a hollow laugh. Easier said than done. I shrugged. You don't have to do it alone. She looked at me, surprised. You'd help me? I met her gaze. I don't know if I can. But I won't turn my back on you, Olivia. Not if you're really ready to change. She was silent for a long time. Then, for the first time in years, Olivia gave me a small, genuine smile. I guess we'll see, she murmured. And for the first time, I believed we actually might. So, what are you going to do now? I asked. Olivia stared down at her coffee as if weighing every word. Finally she said, I want to change. I raised an eyebrow. What do you want from me, Olivia? She looked up, and for the first time there was no arrogance or defiance in her eyes. I'm not asking for money. I don't want to go back to the corporate world. I just want to do something meaningful. I was silent for a moment. I thought about Mother's final letter. She had believed that Olivia could change, if she truly wanted to. Finally, I set my coffee down. There is something you can do. Olivia watched me, waiting. I opened my laptop, scrolling through Mother's project list. Mother established an environmental education fund. It was never publicized, but she had been planning it for years. I met her gaze. If you really want to change, this could be your starting point. Olivia sat still for a moment, then nodded. Okay. I'll do it. I wasn't sure if she would follow through, but this was her only chance, and the last one I was willing to give. Because sometimes, winning isn't about defeating someone, it's about helping them find a new path. 3 months after my last meeting with Olivia, I stood in the small garden behind my home, where I had spent weeks restoring the space. I brushed my fingers over the soft lavender blooms, thinking of Mother. She used to say, everything can be reborn, as long as you give it the chance. I had never thought that might apply to Olivia too. But today I was going to find out if Mother had been right. At 8 in the morning, I arrived at the headquarters of the Green Horizon Environmental Education Fund, the non-profit organization Mother had envisioned, but never had the chance to launch. And Olivia, the same woman who once dismissed anything related to the environment, was now leading it. As I stepped inside, I saw walls covered with photos of children on field trips, research charts measuring the impact of environmental education, and displays of conservation projects. This wasn't Hartman & Co. with its cold, profit-driven boardrooms. This was something real, something that mattered. A staff member led me to Olivia's office. When I walked in, she was already standing, looking calmer than I had ever seen her before. Hey Emma, Olivia greeted, her voice free of the arrogance that used to define her. Hey, I took a seat across from her desk. How's it going? She took a deep breath before nodding. Better than I expected. At first I didn't think I could do it, but things started to change. I studied her. She was no longer the ruthless CEO I once knew, but a woman trying to rebuild her life. What have you been working on? I asked. Olivia turned her laptop toward me, showing a detailed plan for an environmental education program for children. I've been working with schools, she said. We can't expect the older generations to change overnight, but if we educate the next generation from the start, we can make a real difference. I skimmed the plan. Field trips, workshops, hands-on sustainability projects. This wasn't just a theory, it was a real, structured plan. You're doing good work, Olivia, I said honestly. For the first time, I saw her smile, one that wasn't calculated. "Thank you, Emma," she said. "Mother was right about a lot of things. I spent too many years following Father's path, never realizing that Mother was the one with real vision." I didn't respond right away, just glanced out the window at the morning sunlight streaming through the trees. "Do you regret it?" I asked, after a pause. Olivia sighed. "Yes, I regret not realizing this sooner, but if Mother could believe in me, maybe it's time I start believing in myself." I nodded. "That's what matters most." For a while we sat in silence, no longer opponents, no longer two people walking completely different paths. We were sisters, finally finding common ground after years of division. I stood up, heading toward the door. "Keep going, Olivia, I'll be watching." She nodded, but just as I reached the doorway she called out, "Emma." I turned. "Do you want to be part of this?" Olivia asked, her voice softer. "We could do this together, like Mother wanted." I looked at her for a moment, then smiled. "Keep doing what you're doing. When I'm ready, I'll join you." For the first time she smiled without hesitation. That afternoon I returned home and opened my research files. I had spent most of my life protecting the oceans, but maybe education was just as important. A new message from Olivia appeared on my screen. "I just finalized a new project, an ocean education summer camp for teenagers. Can you help me with it?" I smiled, typing back, "Absolutely." Because I finally understood, Mother's legacy wasn't just about financial empires or investment funds. Her legacy was change. And we, her daughters, would carry it forward. Stepping out of the shadows of the past takes courage. It means redefining your worth beyond what others expect of you. It means standing up for yourself, even when it means going against those closest to you. Success isn't just about preserving the past, it's about building a future that aligns with your values. And above all, true change isn't about defeating others. It's about helping them find the right path for themselves. What do you think about this story? Family is complicated, but it's also where we grow and find our way. Share your thoughts in the comments below, and don't forget to follow the channel for more meaningful stories about family, transformation, and the journey to self-discovery.